Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here once again in my hot and muggy garage for another first impressions video, and I also think a little bit of commentary on recent events. So we're going to get a little bit political, but I will save that for the end, and I will let you know when I'm going to, in case you're just here for the gun content and might not be interested in my political takes on anything. So we have a few things on the table today because I was able to see a couple of friends that I needed to see because I needed some stuff for some upcoming reviews. And one of the things I needed was a pistol. By the way, I have my garage door open. You might hear some planes flying over or people walking by in the alley because it's going to be a little bit cooler with the garage door open anyway. So you might have some sounds in the background. Sorry if it's a distraction. But I needed a pistol with a RMSC footprint because I have to review the new Osight K, which, as I mentioned, I don't have a pistol that has that footprint. So in order for me to do that review, I had to contact my friend Jack and be like, hey man, can I borrow that SIG P365 again for that review? And of course he was super nice and said yes. I'm always thankful for that. And I did have the Heritage Manufacturing Roscoe done. I finished that range report last night, cleaned the gun, back in the box and everything, so I was able to deliver that to him, and I was able to pick up that P365. And he also told me before I got there, hey, I picked up something new. I went to the gun store and I was naughty. And I was like, uh-oh, what'd you get? So he said it's a Wilson Combat. And it's one that I'd never even heard of before. It's an old Wilson Combat. It's kind of a vintage one, if you can call anything from Wilson Combat vintage. It's this bad boy right here. This is the KZ45. It's obviously a 1911 derived platform, chambered to 45 ACP. It has a polymer, I'm going to say frame to it, but it looks like we have some metal inserts right here. Has all the controls of a 1911. It looks like it's a staggered stack or double stack 45. So I'm not really sure how much this holds. We do have some witness holes, but nothing is marked. So when I load it, we'll have to find out. So it doesn't take stock 1911 mags. A polymer grip, but everything else about it looks like Wilson Combat. The slide, the barrel, it has a bull barrel on it. It is a 1911 without a barrel bushing, and the trigger is pretty good. So this is probably designed for concealed carry, and he also told me that when he picked this up for a good deal, and I was very surprised for what he paid for it, or when he told me, he also said he picked up 8 magazines for it, or it came with 8 or 9 magazines, and I'm pretty sure these magazines are proprietary, or I think they are. They don't look like anything else. And these are probably $35, $40, $50 a piece. So getting 8 or 9 mags for what he paid for it is quite amazing. But I'm pretty sure this is designed for concealed carry. So that is going into the queue. I promised him I would try to put it to the top of the pile because he hasn't shot it yet. Man, do I have some amazing and kind friends. People that lend me stuff that they haven't even shot them themselves. So I do my best to obviously respect every gun that comes through the channel. I clean it meticulously when I'm done, and I never take for granted what people lend to the channel that I get to shoot. So I'm looking forward to this guy. So if you know anything about the Wilson Combat KZ45, let me know. The owner's manual has a date of 2001 on it. So I think this thing is probably 20 years old. It's a model never heard of before. Maybe you have. So if you do own one or have owned one, let me know what you think and any information on it or things I should consider looking at when it comes to the review. The next person I saw was my friend D, and I know I just made a not a first impressions, a upcoming projects video on a bunch of stuff he lent to the channel. But I had to contact him again because I was like, listen, I know you let me borrow a couple rifles and a bunch of suppressors. And by the way, another amazing friend of the channel who has filled out the paperwork and put me on the trust, allowing me to borrow all of these amazing items. So I'm humbled by that. And obviously I never want to take that for granted either, and I treat everything with respect and clean it all, and want to make sure that I review it properly, but also get it back to the owners in a better condition than when I received it, or the best that I can get it to. So I mentioned to him, I said, hey, you were really kind and let me borrow a few suppressors, and the rifle in 5.56 you let me borrow is the HK MR 5.56A4. In fact, it's in the range bag. I'm probably going to go to the range tonight and shoot it. And I said, that might not be the best host weapon for the suppressor reviews, because one of my tests is the resistance test. Because a lot of the modern suppressors have the flow-through baffle technology, and the MR 5.56 is a piston gun. And I need a DI gun for that, a direct impingement gun. And I said, and of course it has a muzzle breaker. It's compatible with like the Q Cherry Bomb and the, is it Werden? Anyway, another one. I was like, I don't have anything for that. He goes, oh, don't worry about that. I have a new DI gun that I don't think I've even shot for you to try out, and I'll lend it to you. And I was like, okay. So I met him to get the host weapon for these suppressor reviews, and I'll show you what that is. It is this bad boy right here. This is the Noveske N4 Shorty, chambered in 5.56. Being a Noveske, it's probably going to be pretty sweet, but it does have the billet receiver, so it's a little bit on the heavy side. A few things have been changed out on it. This is a factory green anodization, but my friend D has added the forward grip, or vertical foregrip, the pistol grip, and the stock, and all of these are from B5 Systems in that really cool kind of camo color that I think matches the gun really well. He added the Law Tactical folding stock to it, and I think that is it. I think he had the muzzle device changed out too. Maybe not. I don't know. But look at that. It's like brand spanking new. And that allows me to review the suppressors that he lent, because he said this thing's actually pretty gassy, so it's probably going to be a good host weapon. But then he surprised me again. Even though I have like 3 or 4 other suppressors to review, he's like, I got a few more. I was like, are you sure? This is going to take me a while to get through. He goes, no sweat. I'm like, okay. And so once again, I am humbled beyond words. So I have a few more suppressors to review, and a couple of them I don't even think have even been shot yet. The first one is this B&T. Now, I love B&T. Some people know me as the B&T guy. I've reviewed one of their 30 caliber suppressors that they sent me. This one is the Print XH-RBS SC. It's a little bit on the short side, but man, is the diameter of this one really thick. So I think we have a pretty good internal volume. It's super light. I'll have to look at what the material is, but my gut tells me it's titanium. But the other one I've shot, their more modern design, worked great. I'm really excited to see what this one performs like. And having such a large internal volume, it being so thick, I think makes it up for its shorter length. I don't know if they offer a longer version of this. This might be the K version. I just have to go do some research. So, but looking at the blast baffle, look at that. Brand spanking new. Hasn't even been shot yet. So I get to pop its cherry. Next one is the Combat Application Technologies, and the model is the WB. Now, I have discovered that CAT, Combat Application Technologies, is one of those companies that likes to have cutesy names. The last one that I reviewed was called the SR, which stood for short round, and they're very politically incorrect. And I guess it was supposed to be kind of making fun of Asian people, and that like all the marketing is kind of Asian related, and I think they're kind of borrowing the name from the character from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Well, this is the WB, and it stands for white bread. Yeah, so I guess it's a suppressor named after what I am. And it's pretty light. I have to look at what it's made of. The model here on the side says CAT WB for white bread A1 556. So this is going to be a little bit longer than that B&T suppressor, but it doesn't have the same width. So I'm not really sure what the internal volume is going to be like. And that's really important. In fact, the internal volume of a suppressor, I think, is more important to the overall tone than its length and the number of baffles. So this has what I think has the flow-through baffle technology. I'll have to see. They have some really interesting names for all of their different design features, but another 5.56 suppressor. And all of these do have the mount that is compatible with the Q mount. And I think there's also another mounting style that's compatible with that. Is it Weirden, I think? It all works, but this one I think is a Q. In fact, it's even marked as a, if it gets in the camera there, Q. And then last but not least is the PRT, and this is the Vent Spiritus 556i. I believe this is also 3D printed, and it's made of Inconel, and you can definitely tell because this is a hefty suppressor. It has that kind of cool golf ball texture to it. Now, I've been reading in the news lately, and I've seen some memes on gun slaps on Instagram, that I guess PTR has been suing other companies for patent infringement when it comes to 3D printed suppressors. They claim they're the ones that designed it the first time and patented it. I don't know. I didn't think you could patent a manufacturing process like 3D printing when it comes to suppressors. I don't know, but they've been going after some other companies. And I had never even heard of PTR making suppressors before just a couple of weeks ago, and I've reviewed quite a few 3D printed suppressors. So I don't know what that's all about. I'll have to do a little bit of research. But this thing is pretty heavy. This one feels like it's designed more for like law enforcement and military applications because of the material, Inconel, and its weight and overall size. So we'll have to see how this one performs. And all three of these are going to go on this Noveske N4 Shorty. So I have to figure out the order of things and what I'm going to do with it. So there you go. Bunch of stuff here on the table. 3 more suppressors. The Noveske N4 Shorty and the Wilson Combat KZ45. So all this is going into queue, and right now my list of gun reviews that I need to make and product reviews and field strip videos is like long again. Man, it is feast or famine. I was actually kind of worried about a week ago. I was like, I've gotten through everything. I worked my butt off to get to that point. And then all of a sudden, the list that I have on my computer, because I keep like a little, it's not a spreadsheet, it's actually handwritten. All of the things I have currently going, which I have to add all of these. It's like, oh my gosh, it's off the page. So there we go. I am blessed beyond my wildest dreams, and I got to work hard to get all this stuff out. So I will be busy for a while. So that's all the upcoming projects. So let me know your thoughts on any of this. If you know anything about any of the items that I should take into consideration as part of my reviews, please let me know. All right, so that's everything for that. So now we're going to pivot to politics, okay? So if you've watched to the end of this video, or to this point in the video, and you don't want to talk politics, but still want to participate in the word of the day, the word of the day is going to be green. Green is the word of the day because I love green. I love all of the earth tones on guns, and this Noveske N4 Shorty is in green anodization, so, or it's anodized green. So there you go. Word of the day. All right, so if you're going to hang around now, we're going to talk a little bit of politics. So I'm going to give you a second to click away, so you can't be mad at me. All right, you still here? Okay, we're gonna talk politics. See, I do stutter. You guys have no idea how hard it is for me sometimes when I get ahead of myself mentally when I'm thinking about what I want to say when I'm filming videos, and how many takes I have to do when it comes to my proper range reports and reviews and things. Okay, so as of right now, we have this mass casualty event. It's not really, I won't say mass casualty. I guess it's casualty because there was a lot of people that were shot and injured. But when it comes to overall deaths, it was only 2 up in Minneapolis. And it was another attack by somebody that claimed to be transgender, obviously is not a right-wing person, is very left-wing. And what's crazy, and I've been seeing how the people on the left have been doing their very best to try to frame it as right-wing violence. And we are starting to see people that have, what do they call it? Is it cognitive dissonance? Where they can clearly see something that is one thing and then think it's another. I mean, you have a person that's transgendered, wrote essentially things on their guns and their magazines to harm. And I have to be very careful because of YouTube community guidelines. I never want to say anything, but to like harm or unalive certain politicians. A lot of the sayings that were on them were very left-wing things, very anti-Semitic things that are very left-wing. And yet they still try to say it was a white MAGA person. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know how that can be. But what's happening now, and people are not addressing it. And I'm going to start this off by sharing my personal political philosophy, is that I'm a libertarian. Now, I am not a libertarian in the sense that I believe in anarchy. Okay, I know that the true libertarians are going to say, "You're not a libertarian. You don't believe this. You don't believe that." Man, I'm telling you, if you're libertarian on everything, you're not really libertarian. You're an anarchist if you don't believe any government intervention or any laws or rules or that kind of stuff. I do believe in an ordered civil society that has logical and practical rules that make sense, that do their best to infringe upon the rights of people the least. Okay? Because I think we all know, based off of history, the more the government gets involved in something, the worse it gets. Between regulations and just the overarching power of politicians and so forth. So we want to mitigate that. But there are some things that I think we all agree, and oh man, there's a moth in here. So, all right, I think you just saw it fly by. So if it gets in front of me in the camera, once again, another distraction. But you guys can understand where I'm coming from when I say as a libertarian. Some people might call me a conservatarian, meaning I have some conservative beliefs and I have some libertarian beliefs. But in general, I think the government needs to stay out of things and should not be legislating morality. The point of laws and regulations should be to protect you from me and me from you in regards to private property, life, and our rights. So you should be able to do things up until the point you infringe upon the rights of others or harm others. Generally speaking, that's what we're talking about, okay? So when it comes to the whole transgender thing, I personally believe that people that are transgendered have a mental disorder because it is classified as a DSM-5 mental disorder, gender dysphoria. And in no other case of a DSM-5 mental disorder do we ever affirm them. So, for example, I know I'm borrowing this example from Tim Pool, who's a political commentator who I like. I don't agree with everything he says, but you might watch him. But I think he makes a great point here that if somebody has a disease like pica, which is a disease where people have an uncontrolled desire to eat things like nails, fingernails, hair, whatever it is. I mean, obviously that can be very destructive of your health. We don't affirm it. We don't say, you know what? We know that you want to eat metal, so we're going to go ahead and give you metal. We're going to say, it's okay. You're a metal eater. We go, no, because as a society, we have deemed this to be inappropriate. You're going to hurt yourself. We feel it is okay for you to be committed because this behavior is that far out of the norm. It is grossly out of the norm, and you need to have help. The same thing goes for somebody that has a dysmorphic disease where they feel like part of their body is not part of them. Like someone says, my left arm is not part of me, I wanted to have it amputated. Well, no doctor is going to amputate their arm and affirm that. They're going to get them and refer them to mental health professionals because you need your left arm. I feel the same way about gender dysphoria, that the people that chop off their genitals, do the hormone therapy, I believe it is a mental disorder and it is a sign of deeper problems. However, I also believe that you have the right to do whatever it is to your body you want, as long as you're not hurting others. And I'm going to say to the point that you're not necessarily, I know it's a kind of a hard and a weird line to walk, as long as what you're doing isn't suicidal. Okay? So part of me can feel one way and say, I think you have a mental disease. But as long as you are not physically harming the rights of others and denying them those rights, do whatever it is you want. So I can have morals and ethics, and I can also look at things from a legal perspective. I also think that you can sleep with whoever you want. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see it in a public space, and I don't want children involved. But if more consenting adults are behind closed doors doing consenting things, it's none of my damn business. I don't care. And I can think it's weird. I can think whatever it is, but if they're doing it behind closed doors, it's none of my damn business. Just like what I do behind closed doors is none of their damn business. However, these people, I do believe, should be adjudicated mentally defective. And I know that is a very slippery slope, because if we start saying, okay, you've been diagnosed with a DSM-5 disorder, they can change that on a whim. You can have government overreach and say, oh, you have conservative beliefs. Well, that's a mental disorder, and now we're going to deny you your gun rights. I kind of feel like transgendered people should be denied gun rights, because they already have a very high percentage that try to unalive themselves and harm themselves. And obviously, we don't want people doing that. We want to save those lives. And giving them access to firearms might not be the best until they are cured of their mental disorder. You are free to feel anything you want about your identity. So, for example, if you think that you should have been born a different sex or a different race, I mean, you can wish it all you want, but you have to one day accept the fact you are who you are. And I do believe that God made you perfect in the way you're supposed to be. You don't have to like that, but I do believe there is a purpose to it. So if you want to be a different sex, or let's just say I know a lot of younger, because I'm a teacher, and I see this all the time. There are a lot of kids out there that are really nerdy about Asian culture. White guys or white kids that are, I think you call them weebs. I know it's kind of a weird name. I have no idea what the etymology of that is. But they're people that watch anime. They do all the cosplay of anime stuff. They eat and cook Asian food constantly. They try to learn Japanese and all that kind of stuff, which is great. I think learning another language is awesome, but it's almost like they want to be Asian themselves. And that's fine. However, they need to accept the fact that they're white. Not that they have to act white, but go, okay, you're not going to change who you are. Nothing you do will change your sex. Nothing you do can change your race. Nothing you do can change how tall you are or the size of your body. I have the tactical Texas Gun Vault dad bod, and that's not going to change right now. Now I can go work out a little bit more, walk and ride my bike a little bit more, but the chances of me being size 28, 29 waist, that's long gone in the past. It's not going to happen. So I just need to accept who I am now. And I feel like everybody has to do that for everything. But if you still feel like you're the wrong person, you have a mental disorder. And we're seeing too many of these mass casualty or mass tragedy events that are now being perpetrated by transgendered people. And I think a lot of it has to do more with society than the people themselves. And in no way am I saying that just because somebody is transgendered that they are evil or prone to hurt others. But what I am saying is that there are people on the left who profit from the agitation of transgendered people, telling them things like, your life is at risk because the white supremacists, the MAGA people are going to come and kill you. And we know none of that's the truth. I treat everybody like a human being. I don't care. I have students that have been transgendered. I have students that have been gay. I have students that have been all walks of life. And you know what I treat them like? The same, because they're human beings. And I don't talk to them about those things. I mean, it's obvious when they come into lessons with me. It's obvious that, okay, this is a biological male that is dressing like a female, okay? I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to say good for you. I'm not going to say bad for you. We're here to learn music, and we're going to learn music. I'm going to treat you like a human being. And when you do things good, I'm going to praise you. When you make mistakes, I'm going to say we need to improve, and here's how to improve these things. It's none of my business. I can feel a certain way, but I'm not going to treat them any differently. But society is telling these people and agitating them to the point that I think, because they already are susceptible to peer pressure, because I think a lot of the transgendered stuff is peer pressure. Now they're being told you have to react to this in violent ways. That if you don't die for the cause, you are not doing your part. And we're starting to see like the Nashville shooter, now the Minneapolis shooter. And I saw this whole list of transgendered people that are doing this. And that is now the predominant mass shooter stereotype. And it's not a good image for the left, because what do they say? Like, I mean, they can't say, oh, it's the evil white MAGA supporters, because they're not the ones doing it. It's wacko, crazy leftists. So what's the solution? I don't know. I kind of feel like, and this is going to be the unpopular opinion, I kind of feel like people that are openly transgendered, while they can dress however they want, they can believe that they're whatever they are, I do believe that we have an obligation as a society to get them the help that they need and temporarily remove the right of self-defense from them, because they already are exhibiting a mental disorder, just like other people that might have things like schizophrenia, and that is not somebody's fault. I mean, people that get schizophrenia or possibly dementia, like severe dementia or Alzheimer's, can be adjudicated mentally defective. And it doesn't mean those people are bad people. It doesn't mean that they should be defenseless or nobody should be looking after them. It just means that their cognitive ability to properly defend themselves, especially with a firearm, probably should be removed, because they don't have the wherewithal and the thought to be able to responsibly make those decisions. I feel the same for transgendered people. I feel the same for people that exhibit things like, as I mentioned before, pica, or any type of disorder where people feel like their left leg is not part of them and should be cut off. Any of the DSM-5 disorders. And once people are cured of them, I do believe their rights should be restored. But while they are going through that time, suffering through this, because a lot of them have depression, a lot of them try to unalive themselves, they should not have access to a firearm. And it's becoming more and more predominant that these people with a diagnosable mental disorder are committing these atrocities, and they're going after innocent kids. And the reason that they go at schools is because those targets are soft, meaning many times they don't have proper protection. They don't have people there with guns that can shoot back. But also the casualties, because who the victims are, create the biggest headlines. You know, if somebody walked into a police department and did the same thing, the left wouldn't care about it as much. But when it's kids, everybody's up in arms. How, now everyone's calling for assault weapons ban. It's all about the guns. It's not about the obvious mental disorders that these people have. Nobody wants to get them help. And 20 years ago, we didn't see this kind of stuff. We didn't see these disorders. And I have a feeling that the next mass tragedy or casualty event, it's going to be another mentally deranged, most likely biological male that is transitioning to female, that is going through hormone replacement, or cut off their genitals or whatever, and they're mad at the world. They hate Christians. They hate MAGA. They hate anybody that's conservative, and they're going to go after a school. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, as much as we don't want it to, and we sit idly by. We don't protect these targets. We're not serious about it, and the left in some ways applauds it, and in some ways encourages it because they tell them, oh, if you don't do this stuff, they're going to come and kill you, put you in concentration camps. I don't know what the solution is, but I definitely feel like transgendered people should have their day in court, and I do believe that their firearms rights should be stripped of them until everything is sorted out, and then once they are sorted out and in good mental health, should have a easy way to get their rights restored. And I know that's not going to be popular to a lot of people because it can be abused. It can be abused, and I definitely see the possible abuse of it. And I know there might be people that are watching this channel that might be a transgendered and feel like I'm singling them out, and I'm not. It's just the way it is. And I don't know. So, unpopular opinion maybe, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. And I want to be clear, in no way, shape, or form do I feel that transgendered people are inhuman or less important than I am. I believe that they can be good people. I believe that they can be kind people. I believe that they can do good for society. I believe everything that any of you are, they can be. But unfortunately, they suffer from a mental disorder. Just like somebody that has dementia can be kind and caring and a good person and a generous person, but they suffer from, but they suffer from a mental disorder, and they need to get help. So there you go. So if you watched to the end of this video, or this part of the video, the word of the day is going to be help. Help. Because I think these transgendered people need to get help. They really do. We need to, as a society, we need to stop affirming them. Because we don't affirm people with other DSM-5 disorders, we shouldn't affirm this one. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts. And I guess that's it. So thanks for joining me here in my hot garage and listening to what I have to say. So, as always, thanks for watching.